Hi friends, and welcome to Wives vs. World. This time it's just Jackie here since Anya's escaped to the countryside to relax with her parents after a stressful period of writing her thesis. In the meantime, I was wondering what to do for this week's video since we wouldn't be together to go through our usual creative process. I really wanted to wax a bit about representation in media, but hey, I don't have a degree in media analysis or a degree in philosophy. I was a business major for crying out loud, so where to start? I really wanted to talk about a time before the level of representation we see now, and that got me thinking about headcanons. For those unfamiliar, headcanon is when you yourself look at a piece of media or a character and use your imagination to add to what you see or retcon things. It's still very common. Look at fanfiction or how the latest Star Wars movie never happened. Some years ago, I saw this article from Kotaku about a dad who'd modded the Legend of Zelda game Wind Waker to make every bit of text and dialogue refer to Link as she, her, sister, and so on. And that made me want to do something related to that while sharing some thoughts on representation. But how? And then I remember that I'm supposed to be the artist. So here goes. Before I even knew I was different from a lot of my peers, before I even understood what gender transgression was, I was drawn to characters who defied expectations and the society around them. That's not very original now, is it? Like many, my favorite characters didn't always fit in. Sometimes they struggled. But they knew what they wanted and they fought for it. And like many, I tried to see myself in the media that I consumed. I don't think it's a stretch to say that if you feel like you can identify with the characters, the creator has done their job right. Pippi Longstockings, Ariel from The Little Mermaid, Chihiro, all wonderful characters that resonated with me. And I'm not saying that young boys who identify with girls and women are trans. In fact, I think if more boys were allowed to identify with the female characters they saw, that would probably be a good thing. It just seems very obvious to me that when I was little, at least some part of me wanted to be one of the resourceful girls and women that I looked up to. It wasn't until years later that I actually saw trans people like myself in media, and now we're seeing more and more. And that's great. In fact, I would like to see a bunch more, and specifically in media aimed at younger audiences. Because if I'd known that I could be me, if I'd known that there really wasn't anything wrong with feeling how I felt, I think I would have had an easier time coming to terms with me being trans. There's now more LGBTQIA representation than at any point when I was growing up. I remember the first time I saw a trans character. That was Kino from Kino's Journey, if you must know. And I could feel that in my chest. I could feel it tighten. I never finished the show, but it still impacted me and left me wanting more. To see that part that I was hiding reflected back at me, to feel a connection that I hadn't really before. And I think we're starting to see that now. And that leads me to headcanon. For me, I was still drawn to female protagonists in the media I consumed, but at some point I would begin to imagine that some of them, not all of them, but some of them were like me. That sometime in their life they had to make the same choices that I had, or that I wanted to make. And in that way I got to imagine growing up to be awkward, witty, strong, accomplished, whatever. But I could see myself get to actually exist. Kinda like that kid who connected so hard with her headcanon of that green-clad video game character that her dad rewrote it for her. So here's to the power of imagination, to the media you love and loved growing up, and to the importance of seeing people like yourself. Even if you yourself have to do the legwork, because the 90s and the aughts was a crappy time to grow up as a trans kid. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little rambling of mine. Next week we'll both be back and we'll do some couple stuff. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to share your thoughts or give your input, you can comment. You can find me and Anya on Instagram in these different kinds of constellations. You can even check out my art Instagram if you feel like it. And as always, we hope to see you next time. Bye!